Yes, good afternoon people. Another quick video. Today I would like to address a concerning issue, the immigration problem. All the political parties have acknowledged the problem, but none of them has a plan to solve it. I'd also like to address the rise of the right all over Europe. Before I get into it, share, comment, like and subscribe. England has always welcomed immigrants, but I will start after the Second World War. In the 50s and the 60s, black West Indians were invited to the UK. They often refer to it as the motherland, to assist with various sectors such as London transport, the hospitals and working in factories, due to the shortage of manpower caused by the Second World War. Many thought they would be greeted with open arms. Instead, they faced a hostile population, where even getting accommodation was a problem, with many rental properties that had signs saying, "No blacks, no dogs, no Irish." Subsequently, in the late 1960s and early 70s, Asians arrived after being expelled from Uganda by President Idi Amin. And during the 80s and early 90s, there was an increase in immigration from the African countries. In the 2000s, there was a significant influx of Eastern Europeans. It is important to note that the UK has a history of immigration dating back decades. However, in recent times, there is a perception that immigration has become unmanageable. Back in the day, Enoch Powell made a speech, which they called Rivers of Blood, which was made in 1968, and at the time it was deemed as a racist speech. And subsequently, he was dismissed from the shadow Conservative government and was sent to Northern Ireland to practice his politics. Much of what he said in his speech rings true today, but even back then, people were uncomfortable with the truth, much like today. This is nothing new. I'm 60 years young and I've lived it. I remember when I was 13 years old having to run away from skinheads and teddy boys who used to set their dogs on us on the way after school, grown men, every day. And many of my school friends got bitten up or beaten up. And as we got older, we began defending ourselves, busting a few heads on the way. Then over the years, we have learnt to become tolerant of each other. Even though some of us dislike each other, tolerance and respecting each other were key. Immigration has significantly increased since 2010, starting with Tony Blair's Labour government. And despite promises by subsequent Tory governments to reduce immigrant numbers, the reality is quite the opposite, with record numbers of migrants entering the country. Last year, a staggering 750,000 individuals arrived, a figure that has become unsustainable, and it is draining local services to their breaking point. It is worth noting that attributing the arrival of 750,000 people that they solely came in on small boats is misleading and required a more nuanced understanding of immigration trends. The European elections are taking place, and the rise of the groups from the right is alarming, and all demanding the same thing: immigration control. This phenomenon is not unique to the UK, as countries across Europe and America are also experiencing a surge in migrant populations. This influx has led to the rise of far-right groups in various countries, including France, Germany, Portugal, Italy, Holland, and Denmark. While the term far right may seem strong, it is essential to acknowledge the presence of extreme elements within these groups. The rhetoric exposed by Nigel Farage, Tommy Robinson, Suella Braverman, Lee Anderson, and others is highly divisive, leading to an increased polarization within society. It can be argued that these individuals are paid to stir up hate. Tommy Robinson recently led a march through central London, drawing a crowd of 20,000 individuals who shared a strong sense of patriotism and a desire to reclaim their country. During his speech, Robinson unexpectedly shifted the focus to the Israel-Hamas conflict, prompting questions about the relevance of this topic to the core concern of the demonstration. This diversion raised my suspicions about the possibility of him attacking the Muslims to deflect attention away from what the Israelis are doing in Gaza. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just thought that. The Israel-Hamas conflict has nothing to do with patriots getting their country back or the calls for Police Commissioner Sir Mark Riley to resign. This continuous focus on anti-immigrant and anti-Muslim sentiments raises concerns about the repercussions and who might become their next target for their harmful narratives. It is important to question whether these individuals are targeting immigrants from all backgrounds or specifically focusing on Muslims. From my observation, it appears that their attention is predominantly centered on attacking Muslims, perpetrating discriminatory attitudes and contributing to a climate of intolerance. None of the political parties have presented a comprehensive plan to address the challenges posed by immigration. The Conservatives' Rwanda plan, which Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has admitted no planes to Rwanda will leave before the general election. Labour have pledged to set up a border command, which will supposedly tackle small boats at the source. If I remember rightly, this has been tried before, and it's all nonsense. No politician will tell us the truth about immigration, which is this: we are fighting a losing battle with immigration. Nigel Farage Reform UK is fighting the election with one of his main party's policies is the problem with mass immigration. In my opinion, the immigration problem can't be solved. It's too little, too late. As I've mentioned before, mass immigration is unsustainable. But to those who are dead against immigration, tell me in the comments, how has immigration affected you? With results from the 2021 census recording just under 4 million Muslims, or 6% of the total population in the United Kingdom, London has the largest population, the greatest proportion, 15% of Muslims in the country. Government data about the UK's different ethnic groups: 82% of people in England and Wales are white, and 18% belong to black, Asian, mixed or other. 2021 census data. So for people to say that the Muslims and people of colour are taking over the country is absurd. And judging by the census data, this proved the indigenous people will not be replaced anytime soon. It's all scaremongering. I'm not saying that we ain't got a problem with the immigration and it needs to be controlled and stopped, but there's a lot of scaremongering going on. Is it the fault of the immigrants that our young adults can't get on the property ladder? No. Is it the fault of the immigrants why the cost of living is so high? No. Is it the fault of the immigrants for the sky high energy prices? No. Is it the fault of the immigrants that the NHS is crumbling? No. The answer to all of these questions is no. The majority of immigrants are hard-working individuals, often taking on multiple jobs, low-paying jobs that some British people may prefer not to do. The idea that they are coming to take our jobs is unfounded and unfair. As an Indigenous British person, rest assured that immigrants do not have priority over you in terms of employment. It is important to recognise that some jobs that British people may consider beneath them are essential roles that contribute to the country's economy. I get that they work for less money. I get all of that. But someone's got to do it. It is rather belated to acknowledge that the action of Western countries in toppling governments, orchestrating coups, engaging proxy wars, and directly destabilising nations like Afghanistan, Libya, Syria, Yemen, Congo, Mali, and I can go on and on, have significantly hindered the progress and well-being of those regions. The repercussions of eliminating their leaders and ravaging their lands of wealth have left many without hope for advancement or the opportunity to lead a dignified life. Consequently, it is understandable that some individuals are compelled to risk their lives in search for a brighter future in other countries. The rhetoric coming from certain individuals like Nigel Farage, Tommy Robinson, Suella Braverman, Lee Anderson is divisive and causes nothing but division. Where does this anti-immigrant, anti-Muslim sentiment end? And who will they target next? My question is, are they talking about all immigrants, no matter where they come from? Or are they specifically talking about Muslims? All the individuals I've named tend to focus on attacking Muslims. That's just my observation. This long-standing sentiment among British public against mass immigration has been consistently overlooked by politicians. Perhaps now they will finally heed the voice of the people. Let's not forget, a divided population is an easier population to control. And I'll end with this. It is important to address the issue of grooming gangs in all communities, regardless of ethnicity. Offenders who engage in such crimes should face appropriate punishment to ensure the safety of our children. It is unfair to target one specific group, as this issue exists across various cultures and backgrounds. Rather than singling out Muslims, it is crucial to acknowledge that grooming gangs can be found in different communities, including those of black, white, and Asian descent. Addressing this problem requires a comprehensive approach that does not solely focus on one group. It is inaccurate to suggest that the elimination of Muslims would end the issue of child grooming. This is a complex problem that transcends any single community or ethnicity. Furthermore, if there are concerns about grooming gangs, effort should also be directed towards investigating and addressing potential involvement of individuals in positions of power and influence. This inclusive approach can help effectively combat this harmful behaviour. Thanks for watching. Share, comment, like and subscribe. Out of here.